friends, welcome back. If you've been here before, if you haven't, welcome. Thank you for joining me. I'm Molly, I'm your yoga teacher, and I'm really glad you're here. I hope you continue to practice with me. I hope you find something that you like here. I have a bunch of different classes and offerings. Today is going to be more of a full-length practice, 45 to 60 minutes, all about engaged back bends. So I'll work our way up towards camel and wild thing and bridge and wheel, but we're going to take our time getting there, really using our muscles to get there as well. So you don't need any props necessarily unless you love practicing with blocks. We'll do a revolved or reverse pyramid triangle pose that if you're tight in the outer hips and IT band area, some blocks will come in handy, but you don't really need them unless you want them. So grab your mat and we're going to get started at the back of our space. And if you can, we're going to come onto our toes pose. Big stretch for the bottoms of our feet. Go ahead and help your little pinky toe get underneath as well. Close your eyes down. Settle your shape here into this space. Committing to the next hour or so to really listen to body. Moving through back bends can be really energizing and exciting, but it takes a lot of engagement to get there and a lot of wisdom. Not pushing past our limits, not causing injury. So untuck your toes, sit your hips to your heels, keep your eyes closed, and take a quick scan of how your body is doing, what feels tight or sore, what feels good and loose and strong. Take a few breaths to find gratitude for your body, and then just send a little extra love to those areas that need it. And then take a quick scan of your mind. How is your mental space today? Are you feeling excited and hopeful and present, or are you feeling distracted, sad, busy, comparing yourself with others? Just spend a few breaths with gratitude for our minds, for our resilience and our curiosity. And then check in with the heart space. Both literally, like your actual chest, but also how's your heart feeling? How are you doing? Are you worn down? Are you feeling betrayed? Are you feeling just sad? Or are you feeling really light, really joyful, connecting with others, connecting with yourself, knowing that we go through waves with all of these aspects, with all of these qualities, and that's okay and that's normal. We'll spend a few breaths in gratitude for our wonderful hearts and how we're able to open up and love others. If there's anything specific calling to you today, maybe it's one word, maybe it's a little phrase, something about body, mind, or heart, anything that's calling to you, you can feel free to make an intention for this class. Every time we move through a certain pose or a certain sequence, maybe that triggers your memory of this intention, revisiting it throughout class. So take 3 breaths to seal that in here. Final inhale, grow tall through the crown of your head, root down through your sit bones. And exhale, softly release. Blink your eyes open if they were closed. Come back into toes pose. All 10 toes underneath your feet. And then on an inhale, open your arms out wide. Arch through your spine, lift your heart up to the sky. Big expansive breath in, and then exhale, round your spine. Curl everything in. Give yourself a hug. One arm on top of the other. Tuck chin to chest. Inhale, open your arms wide. Exhale, curl in, opposite arm on top. Inhale, engage your back body, engage the back of your shoulders. Magnetize your heart up to the sky. And then exhale, round, curl in, engage your core. Keep switching, whichever arm is on top. We'll do 3 more with your own breath. Moving through the spine, feeling nice and good and mobile. Last one here, big breath in. And big breath out. Good, I know those feet are screaming. Let's lean forward under your hands, come into tabletop, wiggle out your feet or tap them on the mat. Good, and then stack hips over knees, shoulders over wrists. Weight is into the L shape of the thumb and index finger. We're going to spend some time breathing in tabletop pose, not something we typically do in the static shape. Think about pressing the ground away, separating your shoulder blades slightly. Roll the biceps forward and expand across your collarbones. Now with the lower half of the body, your ribs are knitting in towards your spine. Slight spiraling of the tailbone up towards the sky and the inner thighs back. And focus on your breath here. Our breath should move in multiple planes, multiple directions, all throughout our body. Maybe this first breath, think about the air going down to your belly, so your belly sinks down towards the mat. And soft exhale out. Next breath in, think about that belly again, but also think about the back space of your body, your kidney area, softening and widening. Exhale out. Next breath in, let your ribs expand outwards. We call this bucket handle. So like the handle of a bucket literally comes out and in. That's what our ribs do. Our lungs are underneath our ribs. Let them expand outwards. Front and back and sides. Exhale out. And then inhale, let the breath move through the front of the chest, across the collarbones. As long as you're not really shrugging your shoulders up towards your ears, this is totally beautiful and normal. Big exhale. Okay, now do your best to incorporate all of the above. So big breath through the belly, back of the kidneys, out through the ribs, and up through the chest. Together here, ready? And then full exhale out of the mouth. Come into a cat pose. So press through your hands, separate your shoulder blades, round through the spine, tuck your tailbone in between your thighs. And take 3 full breaths here. It's going to feel different, but just let the air circulate how we did before. To the best of your ability. This causes me to force the air out through my back body more. Second breath. Maybe you might hear a pop or a click. Last one here. On your exhale, your belly softly, passively comes back to center. Then move into your cow pose. So drop the belly, lift through the heart, lift the tailbone as it bones up to the sky. And then 3 breaths here. See how that changes everything. Feel this more on the front and sides of my ribs and up into my chest. Last breath in, back body is engaged. sides of the spine that might be burning a little bit, your paraspinal muscles. Last inhale. And exhale out. Come to tabletop and then flip your hands so your fingertips face towards your knees. Just take some rib and hip circles here, moving all throughout the spine. Head and hips move in one direction, ribs move in the opposite way. Close your eyes and feel into every little nook and cranny of your body. Spending extra time in something that feels tight or interesting. Good, and we'll switch directions. Couple more this way. Beautiful. Okay. Fingertips face forward. Sit your hips back towards your heels. Active child's pose. So toes are still tucked. Gaze is forward. And then walk your fingertips even further. Drop your forehead to the mat. Think about wrapping your outer armpits down. So we're opening up through our shoulders to prepare for some poses later. Good. Keep your right hand plugging into the mat. See if you can turn your thumb to the sky. Press even harder down through the pinky side into the mat. Big stretch through your lat. And then see if you can lift your whole left hand from the mat. So we're sitting back into a child's pose, so our spine is not really compensating too much for a shoulder range of motion. Hold for one more breath. Exhale, lower left hand flat to the mat. Roll onto the pinky edge of your right hand and then push that edge into the mat. Big lat stretch for one more breath. And then on your exhale, knit your ribs into your spine. See if you can lift your thumb up towards the sky. And stay here for one more breath. Shoulder is burning. Good. Exhale, release. Active child's pose, gaze forward. Inhale, ripple up through your spine, coming through a cat. Stacking shoulders on your wrist. And then exhale, untuck your tailbone, sit it back towards your heels. Move through a cow spine. So heart is reaching forward, but your hips are heavier and they win. Inhale, ripple forward through cat pose. Tabletop. Exhale, spinal wave back towards your active child's pose. Again, feel free to close your eyes and really feel into the undulations of the spine. 3 more times here. Last one. Tailbone curls underneath you as your shoulder blades separate. And then inner thighs spiral back, chest reaches forward, hips weigh you down. Good. Come back up to your cat pose and tabletop, and then bend your elbows, lower your belly down to the mat. Untuck your toes. Feet are zipped in towards each other. Inner thighs are hugging. And then on an inhale, come into Shavasana, Locust pose. So arms sweep back behind you, legs up from the mat like you're skimming the earth, like you're skydiving, and the mat is the air pushing up against you. So reach the center of your chest forward, forward, and then up. Thighs are active, back body is engaged. 2 more breaths. See if you can lift a little higher and a little further and longer. And exhale, release. Hands plant by your ribs. Tuck your toes. Move through tabletop. And then glide your hips high, downward facing dog. Spend a few breaths just pedaling out your feet, feeling into this shape. Maybe it's your first time today, this week, this month, ever. Probably not ever. I recommend a beginner class if that's the case. Good. Now we're going to take a vacation down dog. So press your hands forward, sink your heart between your armpits, and really weigh down here. Think about wrapping your biceps up towards the sky, your outer armpits down. You can take a few pulses here. Again, really focusing on opening up through the fronts of the shoulders. Good. 5 more pulses. Good. And then lift up onto the balls of your feet, ripple forward into high plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Bend as much as you need into your knees. Inhale, wave the body forward to high plank. Exhale, bend your knees, glide your hips high. Close your eyes and move through 3 more rounds here. Last one. Rounding into the upper back space. And then arching through the low back as you send your hips high. Good. Inhale, lift your both heels from the mat. Exhale, drop them over to the left. Finding a little side body stretch. Left heel can be lifted out or right foot is planted. Both hands are rooted down, but think about spiraling your heart up onto your right armpit. Good. Inhale, both heels lift. Exhale, drop them over to the right. Right heel can be lifted, but left pinky toe is planted. Both hands are equally rooted. Side body stretch through the left rib space. See if you can wrap your legs underneath your heart and then scoop it up towards the sky. Good. Inhale, both heels lift. Exhale, drop them over to the left. Find a side plank Shavasana. Right foot is stacked in front of the left. Inhale, reach your right hand high. Exhale, bend your knees. Sink your hips back towards your heels. Your hand comes onto your heart. Inhale, circle sweep that arm up towards the sky. Straighten your legs. Arm overhead, bicep framing the ear. And then exhale, bend into your knees. Hips back towards your heels, right hand to heart. 2 more. Inhale, open it up. Pressing the ground away with your left hand. Exhale, bend your knees. Sit your hips back. Last one here. Good. Inhale, right hand plants, come to a plank pose, and then drop the heels the other way. Left foot is stacked in front of the right, pressing the ground away with the right hand. Right hip is lifting up off the mat, left fingertips up to the sky. Now inhale, stretch left arm overhead, bicep to frame the ears, your one ear. And then exhale, hand to heart as you bend into your knees. Sink your hips back towards your heels. Inhale, stretch, lengthen, open. Exhale, sit your hips back, hands to heart. 2 more with your breath. Last one here. Good. 2 hands, 2 feet to the mat, downward facing dog. And then slowly walk your way up to the top of the mat. Pressing the ground away, hovering your foot off. And then eventually we find a malasana. So feet are nice and wide, toes are out, heels are in. Sink your hips in between your heels. Hands come to heart center, elbows are pushing out against your knees, knees are pushing in against your elbows. Close your eyes and find your breath here. Again, see if you can trace it through your whole body like we did in our child's pose, like we did in our cat-cow. Always have the option to sit up onto a block if this is a bit much for you. Take 1 more breath here. Grow the crown of your head tall. Lift up and out of your side waist. Exhale, root your feet down into the mat. Good. Right hand, open your eyes. Comes out to the right side of the mat. Inhale, sweep your left arm high. Option to stay here, or if you want, you can find the bind. Reaching that left arm behind you, internally rotating it, so turning the thumb down. And then your right arm will come in front of your right shin. You can clasp fingertips behind you. Think about peeling your left shoulder up and open. Spine stays nice and tall as you can. 2 more breaths. Good. If you have the bind, inhale, stretch your wings long. And exhale, come back to center. Moving to the other side, left hand comes out to the side. Left elbow is hooked on the inside of the left calf. Inhale, stretch and reach your right arm high. Stay here or find the bind. Fingertips back behind your left hip. Engage your shoulder muscles to pull that right shoulder back onto your body. 3 more breaths. Good. Last inhale, open up those wings again. Exhale, find yogi squat in the center. Take a breath in here. And then exhale, walk your feet in, forward fold. Uttanasana. Good, we'll move through a few rounds of a little modified vinyasa. Just to get everything nice and warmed up. So on an inhale, halfway lift fingertips to the mat, to shins, to blocks. Exhale, fold Uttanasana. Press through your feet, inhale, stand. Arms reach overhead, upward salute. And then exhale, press your hips forward, cactus your arms, engage the back body, the glutes, as you move into a little bit of a back bend. Inhale, stand up tall, fingertips reach high. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, back is nice and flat. And then exhale, plant your hands, walk or step or jump your feet back. And then exhale, lower all the way down onto your belly. Untuck your toes, inhale, Shavasana, Locust pose, lift everything off the mat. And then exhale, lower forehead, hands and toes to the mat. Inhale, move through your tabletop. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, hop, step, float, jump to the top of your mat. Halfway lift. And exhale, forward fold. Press the ground away with your feet. Inhale, stand up tall, arms reach high. And then exhale, engage your glutes, send your hips forward, cactus your arms, elbows pull down the back body. Inhale, reach it high. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift. Plant your hands, breathe out, lower all the way down to the mat. Active back body, inhale, locust pose. Exhale, release. Inhale, move through tabletop. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Look to the top of the mat, find your way there. Inhale, flat spine. Exhale, fold. Moving with the rhythm, inhale, stand up tall. Exhale, cactus back bend. No pinching in your low back. Think about arching from the mid-spine. Inhale, stretch tall again. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Halfway lift. Put your hands lower down onto your belly. Inhale, skim the earth, engage the back body, locust pose. Exhale, release everything. Hands plant, toes tuck, inhale, tabletop. And then exhale, downward facing dog. See if you can move through 2 more rounds with your own breath. So inhale, halfway lift. And then exhale, go from there. 2 more full rounds. Emphasis on engagement, emphasis on listening to your body and your limits. Moving through your back bend. Maybe you're with me, finding tabletop. And then downward facing dog. 1 more full round. Relax into the rhythm of your breath. Starting to finish up here. Eventually, we will all meet in a downward facing dog. Take your time getting there. If you're there ahead of time, you can find those pulses or just stay in a still shape here. Three more breaths to make your way into down dog. Good. Once you're here, plant through your left foot and both hands. Inhale, three-legged dog, right heel lift, hips are square, wrap the right hip down. Exhale, tiger curl, right knee into chest and up towards the right elbow. Inhale, three-legged dog. This time, bend your knee, open your hip, look for your right toes over your left shoulder. And exhale, curl in, right knee into your body. Inhale, press the ground away, hug everything up into center. And then exhale, plant your right foot between your hands, lower your left knee onto the mat. So we have to open up through our shoulders to find a good back bend. We also have to open up through our hips. So let's stack our body first. Wrap your left hip forward, plug your right femur back into its socket. And then think about pulling energetically your right heel back and your left knee forward to meet. See how this increases the sensation on the front of your left hip. And then with that same feeling, I want you to move into some pelvic movement here. So finding anterior pelvic tilt and posterior pelvic tilt, curling the sit bones underneath you, and then letting them spiral up, back behind you. A couple of rounds here. Good. Untuck your left toes. Sit your hips onto your left heel and straighten your right leg. Place your fingertips behind you. Inhale, lift your heart and your hips up towards the sky. See how this stretches the front of your left thigh. 2 more breaths. Good. Exhale, lower back down. Bend into right knee. Find your low lunge. And then downward facing dog. 2 hands, 2 feet to the mat. Inhale, ripple forward to high plank. And exhale, downward facing dog. Other side, root into your right toes. Inhale, three-legged dog, left heel high. Exhale, tiger curl, left knee up towards left armpit. Inhale, three-legged dog, bend the knee, open the hip, look for those toes over your right shoulder. And then exhale, tiger curl. Press the ground away, hug your knee up and towards your body. And then exhale, left foot lowers, right knee lowers. Stack your body, find your low lunge. So plug left femur back into socket, roll right hip forward, and then energetically pull knee and heel to meet. Feel this engagement and stretch along the right hip flexor. And then maybe move into those tilts of your pelvis. Instead of just moving through the motions and really dumping your whole body forward, which we can do and might eventually do. But it's good to find active variations as well. Couple more. Tiny little movements. Good. Now straighten into your left knee, untuck your right toes, sit back, hips onto right heel, and then fingertips behind you onto the mat or onto a block. Press through your right shin, top of your right foot, lift your hips up towards the sky, drop your head back. Breathe into the right quad for 2. One more big inhale in. And exhale, slowly lower down. Bend into your left knee, frame your foot, step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, ripple the spine forward to high plank. Exhale, lower all the way down onto your belly. Inhale, locust pose, Shavasana. Exhale, release forehead to mat. Tuck your toes. Inhale, rise up through tabletop. And then exhale, sit hips back to heels, toes pose, stack shoulders over pelvis. Inhale, extend your hips forward as you reach your arms overhead. And then exhale, hands come through heart center. You're gonna keep your hip at this extended angle, but we're gonna lean our shoulders back towards our heels. It's kind of like a genie sit. Your core is super engaged and pulled in. Your legs, your quads are what's really working here. So lean back. Good, exhale, come back to center. Arms reach overhead. And then exhale, cactus the arms, draw your elbows back. Lift your heart up to the sky, engage the glutes. So see how we're hinging, or not hinging, more moving up through the upper spine instead of just collapsing back into our lumbar spine. Inhale, reach your arms overhead. And then exhale, stretch your arms out in front of you onto the mat. Eventually moving into downward facing dog. So that little sequence after the lunges, we'll do quite a few times to really prepare us for our back bends. So that'd be a good space to close your eyes, kind of revisit your intention if you would like. All right, left foot is planted. Inhale, reach right heel high, three-legged dog. Exhale, pull right knee in towards your elbow. Inhale, three-legged dog bend, and you open the hip, sinking left heel to the mat. And then exhale, plant your left foot at your left knee at the very center of the mat. Kickstand your right foot out to the right, swivel down onto your left heel. Inhale, modified side plank. Left fingertips stretch long. Weight is out through the pinky edge of your foot. And then exhale, engage your core, pull left elbow into left knee. Inhale, stretch long. This time the left leg is hovering. And then exhale, curl your left heel in towards your glute. Reach back behind with the left hand for the top of the left foot. Good. And breathe here. Kick the foot into the hand to engage the back body and to open up through the front of the body. 3 more breaths. Good. Inhale, slowly release without slingshotting. Nice long stretch through left arm and leg. And then plant the left toes towards the back of the mat. Swivel that right leg underneath your body more, coming into a modified wild thing. And here I just want us to find some nice big circles with our left arm. 3 in one direction. And then 3 in the opposite direction. Spending extra time in any place that feels interesting in your shoulder, in your neck. Good. Inhale, straighten up to your modified side plank. And then exhale, 2 hands, 2 feet, downward facing dog. Breathe in as you wave forward to high plank. Breathe out as you lift back to downward facing dog. Other side here, 3-legged dog, left heel high. Exhale, engage your core, pull left knee into chest. Inhale, bent knee, 3-legged dog. Open up the hip. And then exhale, place your left knee in the center of the mat. Kickstand your left foot out to the side and swivel down onto right heel. Find your modified side plank here. So inhale, right bicep frames the ear, stretch the fingertips overhead. Press the ground away or onto a block with the left hand. Exhale, curl right elbow into right knee. Inhale, stretch long. This time the right foot is hovering. And then exhale, curl right heel into glute. Reach for that foot with the right hand. 3 breaths here. Kick the foot into the hand. Engage your right glute and hamstring. Stretch to the front of your right hip. Good, we're here for 1 more breath. Exhale, gently release. Left or right toes point to the back of the mat. Left foot swivels underneath you a little bit more. Find a modified wild thing. So your shoulder blade is scooping up underneath your heart and lifting it up to the sky. Find those nice arm circles. 3 in one direction. Good. 3 in the opposite direction. Feel this a lot through my right hip too. Good. Last inhale, modified side plank. And then exhale, 2 hands to feet to the mat, downward facing dog. So moving through that little reset. Inhale, ripple forward. Feel free to close your eyes. Exhale, lower down onto the mat. Inhale, Shavasana, locust pose. Zip your inner thighs in towards each other. Exhale, release. Hands plant by the ribs, toes tuck. Inhale, push up through tabletop. And then exhale, sit hips back to heels, toes pose, stack your body. Inhale, extend your hips forward as if someone is pushing through your back pockets. Reach your arms overhead. And then exhale, thumbs to heart center. Genie, sit backwards. Might be a little shaking. Inhale, rise back up. Hands lift. And then exhale, draw your elbows back, cactus. Your arms, reach your heart up towards the sky. Inhale, arms reach high. Exhale, stretch your hands forward onto the mat. And then find downward facing dog. Keep moving with the breath. 3-legged dog, right heel high. Exhale, right knee to right elbow. Inhale, bend your knee, open your hip, gaze for those toes over your shoulder. And then exhale, hug your knee into your body. Push the ground away, take a breath in. Exhale, plant your right foot down, lower your left knee to the mat. Inhale, rise up into your Anjaneyasana, arms overhead. And this time, exhale, left hand comes onto the outside of your right knee. Twist open to the right. Couple breaths here. Stay engaged through the lower body, so make sure that pelvis is nice and neutral. Good, take one breath in, Anjaneyasana, arms overhead. And then exhale, option to find a reverse low lunge. So your right arm will come down to your left heel. Inhale, stretch your left arm overhead. 3 breaths. Good, inhale, slowly come back to center, arms overhead. And then curl left heel in towards your body. Capture that ankle from both sides with both hands. Take a moment to really plug your heel in towards your glute muscle. And curl your sit bone down, stretching a ton on the front of the left quad. Good, now see what it feels like to sink your hips to the mat, kicking your foot into your hands to open up the shoulders more. Inhale, rise back up a little bit, heel plugs into glute, quad stretch. And then exhale, hips sink forward, kick your foot into your hands, more of a shoulder stretch. One more time like that. Rise back out of your lunge slightly, plug your heel into your glute. And exhale, sink your hips to the mat, open up through the shoulders. Good, slowly release that foot, frame your right foot. Tuck your left toes, downward facing dog. Inhale, ripple forward through high plank. Exhale, glide the hips high, down dog. Plant into your right toes. Inhale, left foot magnetizes up to the sky. Exhale, drive left knee into chest. Inhale, bent leg, open hip. Exhale, hug the left knee in. Push the ground away, separate your shoulder blades. And then exhale, land your left foot down. Release your right knee to the mat. Anjaneyasana, arms overhead. And then exhale, right hand comes to the outside of the left knee. Twist your left arm open to the side. A few breaths here. Take a look at your pelvis. Make sure you're not dumping into your low back or really swaying or arching. Nice and active. Belly button tries to face forward. We're twisting from above the navel. Peeling left shoulder open for one more breath. Exhale, lower. Inhale, Anjaneyasana, arms overhead. Option to take your reverse low lunge, so left hand comes back towards the right heel. Left or right arm stretches overhead. Gaze down towards your leg behind you. 2 more breaths. Press, engage your right glute, but press it forward. Eyes up, arms overhead. And then curl right knee into glute. Capture that foot with both hands from both sides. All right, take a moment to set yourself up here. Glue your right heel in towards your glute. See how this opens the front of your thigh if you kind of root your sit bones down to the mat. And then now option is sink forward, kicking the foot into the hands to open up across the chest. Good, inhale, rise out of your lunge, heel to glute, quad stretch. And then exhale, sink your hips forward, shoulder stretch. One more time through this. Good, slowly release that foot, frame your left foot with your hands, and then step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, rise up onto the balls of your feet, roll your spine forward to high plank. Exhale, bend your elbows slowly lower down onto your belly. Inhale, hands and feet skim the earth, locust pose. Exhale, slowly lower, hands to the outside of the ribs, tuck your toes. Press up into a tabletop. And then toes pose, hips to heels, shoulders stacked over your pelvis. Drive your hips forward, extend them as your arms reach overhead. Core is engaged, low belly is pulling in towards your spine. Thumbs to heart center, and then sit back into your genie sit. Maybe getting a little further each time. Inhale, rise up, arms overhead. Exhale, cactus. Find a mini back bend. Inhale, reach it high. Exhale, stretch your arms in front of you onto the mat. And eventually find your downward facing dog. One more sequence here before we move into some of our more peak postures. If you're a little tight in the hips, this is a good place for a block on either side towards the front of your mat. Inhale, three-legged dog, right heel high. Exhale, drive right knee into chest, tiger curl. Super active and engaged here. Bend your knee, open your hip. And then exhale, curl your knee in. Push the ground away. Lower your right knee down. Or your right foot down, sorry. This time step your left foot in. Find a pyramid pose. So left toes are angled about 45 degrees. Keep your left fingertips planted. Inhale, twist open to the right. Exhale, lower right hand down. Inhale, open left hand to the left. Exhale, lower down. Two more in each direction, alternating. Finding our pyramid with twists. And then revolve, pyramid with twists. Trying to spin from above the navel again, so we're really opening up through our thoracic spine. Opening through our hips as well. Plant the left hand, twist open to the right. Exhale, release. Expansive breath in to the left. Exhale, frame your right foot with both hands. Bend slightly into the right knee to step that left foot back. And then inhale, three-legged dog. Bend your knee, open your hip. And then land those right toes back behind you. Hover your hips off the mat. Press into your points of contact. Inhale lifts you up into a wild thing. Exhale, hover the hips off the mat. Hand to heart. Inhale, right arm overhead, wild thing. Your shoulder blade creates a shelf for the heart on the left side. Exhale, lower your hips down. One more time here. Inhale, wild thing. Big opening. We'll stay here for 3 breaths. Drive your hips up towards the sky. Good. Slowly plant 2 hands, 2 feet to the mat. Downward facing dog. Wave your spine forward to high plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Other side. Right foot plants. Inhale, left heel high. Exhale, drive your left knee into your chest, tiger curl. Inhale, bend your knee, open your hip, wiggle those toes behind you. Exhale, curl it in. Protract your shoulder blades, make space. And then lower your left foot down. Step the right foot in, angle your toes out. Find pyramid pose. Right fingertips plant. Inhale, twist open to the left. Exhale, fold down. Left fingertips plant. Inhale, reach right arm high. Beautiful twist through your mid-back area. Exhale, lower down. 2 more on each side, alternating. Last time over to the left, twist it open, big breath in. Exhale, soften through the back body. Left hand plants, last opening up to the right. Big yummy stretch. And exhale, lower down. Bend into your left knee to step your right foot back slightly. Plant through your hands, and then inhale, 3-legged dog. Bend your knee, open your hip. Start to flip the dog over. So your left toes plant behind you, your hips hover off the mat. Press strong into your points of contact. Inhale, lift you up to wild thing. Exhale, lower back down. Hover off the mat. Inhale, rise up again. Right hand is strong into the mat. Exhale, lower back down. Last time here, and we'll hold in our wild thing. Right shoulder blade makes a shell for the heart. Scooping it up towards the sky. Glutes are engaged. Pressing your hips up. 2 breaths here. And slowly exhale, turn those right toes in to find our way to a downward facing dog. Last time through this little sequence, inhale, ripple forward to high plank. Exhale, lower your body down to the mat, all the way down onto your belly. Untuck your toes, inhale, locust pose, Shavasana. Exhale, release. Hands by the ribs, tuck your toes. Inhale, move through your tabletop. Back to toes pose at the back of the mat. Big inhale, extend your hips forward, arms reach high. Thumbs come through heart center. Exhale, lower into your genie squat. So shoulders come back towards your heels, but your hips are nice and extended. Inhale, lift back up, arms reach high. And exhale, cactus. Good. Inhale, reach high one more time. And exhale, walk your hands all the way forward to the front of the mat. We're moving into a heart melting pose, puppy pose. So knees are stacked underneath the hips. Anahatasana. So a couple options. You can rest onto the forehead, or you can scoot a little more forward and have the chest and chin meet the mat. We're here for 5 breaths. Again, think about wrapping the outer armpits down. Opening up through the shoulders. Still engaged through the back body. Your ribs knit in towards your spine on your exhale. 2 more breaths. Good. Slowly inch out a little bit. So now we're in more of a mild puppy pose. Forehead is resting onto the mat. We're going to move into that really active shoulder opener one more time. I know it's miserable, but we can do it. So forehead is resting. Roll onto the blade pinky edge of your left hand. Push down, down, down into the mat with both hands. And then right hand stays where it is. Try to lift your left thumb up high off the mat. Good. Exhale, release. Now roll onto the pinky edge of your right hand. Push everything down, down, down into the mat. Left hand stays where it is. See if you can lift your right thumb up from the mat. Ooh, exhale, release. Good job. Slither your way back into a child's pose. And rest here. Feel all that engagement throughout our body. All the preparation. All the wisdom of listening to what our body is calling us for. That in and of itself was a very active first majority of class. So if you feel like you've spent your energy and you've opened up enough, then please stay here. Again, we have to know where our thresholds are. The line between growth and injury is one that takes honesty with ourselves. If you're ready, go ahead and lift up to a kneeling position. We're going to move into Ustrasana, camel pose. So toes can stay tucked or untucked, up to you. It's a little easier if you tuck them underneath. That's the option I'm going to take today. So inhale, reach your arms high. We've prepared for this. We've done all the activation that we needed to do. Exhale, cactus your arms back. Start to reach up and over as if there's like a beach ball behind you. Again, no hinging at the low back. We want to lean our heart back to stack over our heels, driving our hips forward. If that feels okay, if you're feeling active through your core and your quads, if you can still breathe and talk, then you can reach your hands back towards your heels. Good. Keep the back body engaged. Drive the hips forward. Drop your head back. And breathe here. We're here for 5 more full breaths. So find some exploration. Find some deepening if you're able. Maybe you untuck your toes now. 3 more breaths. Good. Slowly tuck your chin into your chest. Bring one hand to heart. Engage your core. Bring the other hand to heart. Sit down and close your eyes and just feel. Back bends are absolutely invigorating, so just kind of revel in this feeling. Feel your heart beating, your blood pumping. Start to blink your eyes open. Find a gentle twist from side to side. Resetting the spine a little bit. You can do these more pulsing motions or just hold a twist. Good. Lay down onto your belly. And then kickstand your left hand into the center as you curl your right heel into your glutes. Capture that foot from the outside with the right hand, coming into a nice quad stretch. Drive your pubic bone down towards the mat to increase the sensation. And then option to flip your grip if that's an option for you. However you want to stretch your quad right here, right now, is good. Three more breaths. Good, now draw your right knee up towards your right armpit. Find a little half frog. Rest your right ear to the mat, gaze over to the left. And let your right inner thigh sink heavy towards the mat. Good, now fish your left hand underneath your right shoulder. Twist all the way open into a supine twist. Both shoulder blades are rooted. Think about magnetizing your right knee down towards the mat. Yummy spinal twist. 5 breaths here. One of the best poses. Last inhale all along the length of your spine. And then exhale, roll back onto your belly. We'll switch sides. Right hand kickstands in towards the center. Bend your left knee. Find a quad stretch. Again, drive the pubic bone down towards the mat to make contact and increase the sensation on the front of your left hip. Draw your left knee as you release it up into your left armpit. Rest your left ear to the mat. Find your little half frog. Then melt your body heavy down into the mat. One more inhale. And then thread your right arm underneath your left shoulder. Roll all the way down onto your back. Both shoulder blades grounded, left knee magnetizing towards the mat. Find your spinal twist. Left arm can be cactus or straight out to a T. Gaze follows left thumb. Three more yummy breaths here. One more inhale. Big exhale, roll all the way down onto your back. So we're kind of facing the opposite way of where we started, but that's okay. We're going to move into one bridge pose and one wheel pose to finish out our practice. If you've had enough, just hang out here. If you want to take a restorative option, place a block or a pillow underneath your sacrum, that flat bone between your tailbone and low spine, and you can hang out into a supported bridge. That would feel awesome right now. But if you have a little more energy, bring your heels really close in towards your glutes so you can tickle your feet with your fingers. And then hug your inner thighs together. Draw your tailbone up between your thighs, have that little posterior pelvic tilt. And then we're going to drag our heels and our feet down into the mat as we lift our spine up. Stay here or roll your shoulders underneath your body, interlacing fingers underneath your legs. And we'll stay here for 5 breaths. Whole lower body is engaged. Again, tuck your tailbone underneath you to take the pinching and the arching out of the low back. 3 more breaths. Glutes are on fire. 1 more inhale. And exhale, release the clasp of the fingers and slowly lower your spine to the mat. And gently windshield wipe your knees side to side. Now, option to take that pose again. Otherwise, we're going to move into Urdhva Dhanurasana, wheel pose. Same setup as bridge, Setu Bandhasana. This time, as you pick your hips off the mat, hug your inner thighs together. Place your fingertips by your ears, but pointing down towards your shoulder tips. Now see if you can roll onto the top of your head. Find re-engagement through the lower body. Re-tuck your tailbone. Press your hands into the mat and push the ground away, lifting up into wheel pose. If you find your knees are splaying, hug them into center, plug into the big toes. Engage your glutes, drive your hips high. And then reach your chest forward through your shoulders. 5 more breaths here. Deepen your stretch for 2. And slowly release from where you came from. Bring your feet out wide, knock your knees into center, and just breathe. Not moving an inch. We're going to find our Shavasana right here. If there are any additional stretches or cool downs you'd like to take, feel free, but this is kind of a fun feeling of coming straight from that high energy back bend, highly engaged posture, all the energy moving through our body, and then to find stillness. So sit here and breathe and just tune into what's happening. into the softening and relaxation. Acknowledge if your mind has wandered and recenter it here, focusing on your breath to always pull you back into this space. A few more moments here before we move out, so maybe revisit that intention you set at the beginning of class, that word, that phrase that was calling to you. And see how you honored it today, or see how you could do better next time. All a practice, so we don't beat ourselves up for our shortcomings. We find gratitude for the fact that we can come to this space and practice, work on our bodies, our minds, our hearts here before we transition out. We learn lessons here, we integrate here. And the goal eventually is that it starts to transform your life outside the mat. You find more grace, more determination, more intuition and listening. So that's why we come here. We practice, we let the practice wash through us, through our bodies, breath and movement and vinyasa, postures, exploration. And then we pause here, we let the practice wash over us, hover here, marinate here. Final little lessons learned. And eventually we let the practice wash away from us. Finding that transition from this inward gaze back to the outward world. Being transformed a little bit at a time along the way. Either stay here or hug your knees into center as you start to wiggle into your body and blink your eyes open, rock side to side, massaging the low back. A couple more times side to side. And eventually roll onto your side or roll up onto your hips. We'll meet in a seated posture, cross your legs, place your hands on your knees. Stay rooted here for one more moment. We'll take one more inhale together. One exhale. Hands meet at third eye or heart center. The light in me sees and honors you, and I thank you for joining me today. Namaste. Thank you guys. Thank you for being here. I really like that practice. Back bends are tricky. There's something a lot of people's body types have to really plan for and prepare and work into. So I hope this gave you a few ideas, some active stretches and little preparations that you can use before you move into camel or wheel. Some people can just hop into them, but a lot of us, it's wise to take those steps along the way. So thank you for joining. If you liked it, please share with others so they can practice with us, and then subscribe so you see the next video, like and comment below, and I will see you guys next time.